I want to talk to you today about some things that regular people don't know. The 1%, the crazy people like myself and some of you watching, know it all. But whenever I have a conversation with a regular lawn owner, they tend to find most of these things somewhat interesting and enlightening. Here's my list of 9 things that you possibly don't know about your lawn. In almost all cases, your grass grows roots mostly during the spring and the early parts of fall. And almost all grass types are shedding roots during the mid to late summer and throughout the winter season. If you think about this conceptually, the grass, it gets energy from the sun, it grows roots, and eventually those roots shed and die off, soon to be replaced by new roots in the coming season. Those dead roots stay underground, and they are the physical representation of carbon sequestration. When a plant captures carbon dioxide from the sky, grows new material, and then deposits it in the ground under the soil surface, then that carbon will stay there until someone digs it up and it gasses off. True lawn care nuts will take this to their advantage, and they'll push additional root mass development during the times of the year that grass wants to grow roots in the first place. Now, in regards to the grass that's actually growing in your lawn, each individual grass plant is made up of a whole bunch of different leaves. The newest leaves are the tall green ones in the center, and they slowly fade away and die off. The dying leaves are replaced with new leaves. The thing is, with a lawn, all of those dead leaves that have fallen over will eventually sit on the ground, and they'll start turning tan before they eventually decompose and become part of the soil again. If you have grass that's way up here and you cut it way down short, then you're removing the green leaf canopy on top. This is why many lawns look somewhat brown. They look a dingy green when they go from a tall cut or a overgrown state to a low cut. Most homeowners tend to cut the grass too low and infrequently. So whenever it gets tall and green, they cut it way back down to the bottom, where all you can see is all of that dead leaf material that's sitting just barely above the soil. If you don't want your lawn to look so dingy, then you need to either remove the layer of dead material, or you simply just stop cutting the grass so low. Now, some people think that if you go out into your lawn and mow the grass every 2, 3, even 4 days, that you're a little bit crazy. But I can attest to the fact that if you mow your grass more often, not only is it easier to mow your grass, but you're actually going to have a denser turf, which is going to make it easier for your grass to defend itself from weeds. You're going to have fewer weeds in the lawn because the turf canopy is going to be thicker and denser. Now, to speak a little bit more about the health of your lawn, it's actually better to start thinking about the soil than it is the fertilizer that you put on the lawn to feed the grass. Most fertilizers that homeowners buy and yard owners purchase and use do nothing for the soil. They push grass at the detriment of the soil. If you start thinking about your lawn as an ecosystem and stop thinking about fertilizing the grass, but start feeding the soil and making a better, let's call it a seed bed or a planting bed, if you got good dirt, then anything's going to grow in it better. Here's another weird thing that a lot of people don't understand. Watering your lawn often is not helpful. I myself don't water my lawn more than once a week. In the spring and fall, I might even go longer than a week. The reason for this is lawns that get regular water, but they don't get it very often, are forced to grow root systems that go deeper into the ground. And because the upper portion of the soil profile is drier on a day-to-day basis, you're going to have less humidity within the leaf canopy and less disease pressure throughout the year. An additional misunderstood fact about grass is no matter how much water you put on, let's call it a trouble spot in your lawn, does not guarantee that that grass is going to come back. If you have a spot in your lawn that looks like it's trying to die out and you're trying to water it and fertilize it back, it might just be an annual grass. Annual grasses are never going to respond to water and fertilizer the way that perennial grasses do. It's an annual. It's not a perennial. So if you've got a spot in your lawn that's died off every year for the past handful of years, you're trying to keep it going this year, it might not be your fault. It might not be the water and fertilizer. You might just have an annual grass growing there. Now, for those of you who have lawns and you're constantly fighting them, trying to keep them alive, trying to keep them looking their best, and you feel like your neighbors are doing just as good or better than you, without putting hardly any effort into it, it really might have to do with the grass type that you have growing in your lawn. If you're trying to grow the wrong grass type in your lawn, either by choice or by accident, and that grass type is not ideal for your climate or for your region, then you're always going to be, like dragging an anchor behind you. Identify the best grass type for your region. You might have microclimates in your yard like extreme shade, and start overseeding the correct grass type into it. And over time, your lawn is going to look better with way less effort. Now, getting back to mowing, most grass types are going to be their healthiest and look their best if you take your lawnmower and you set it to the highest setting that the deck will go up to. But don't cut it like every 3 weeks or anything like that just because you're cutting it tall. Continue cutting it regularly. The trick here is to just not cut it super short. There certainly are some grass types that do prefer being extra short, but most of them don't fall into that category. If you can resist the urge to cut your grass extra low so that you don't have to cut it for an extra week and actually bring the deck up, your lawn is almost always going to be healthier through the year, and it's going to look its best most of the time. And in regards to grass types, not all grass types are going to spread from side to side. So if you dig a hole in the lawn and then just put sand into it, some grass types will spread into that sand or that dirt or whatever you filled the hole with, and many grass types are not. At some point, you're going to have to identify what predominant grass you have in your lawn. And if you do have a bunch type grass, then those areas are going to have to be overseeded. Now, I could go on and on about random things that most people don't know about lawns, but I think it would be better served to learn some of the most beginner-friendly tips that I could possibly deliver to you about taking care of your lawn better this year. I got a video up here on beginner-friendly tips. Give that a watch next.